There are going to be bears down there too. He's going through the whole list. So we ain't never.
Bears like it dark
I
cold,
know.
don't they?
Yeah, so we ain't never gonna get this thing done. You know, you got snakes, got alligators, salami, whatever she said it was.
Just remember, if there's a bear down there, you don't have to be the fastest. You just have
To
to
be
be
faster than everybody else. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Are we there yet?
Your eyes will adjust to it.
Yeah, they got the lights will make it better.
All right.
Don't start closing stuff behind us. We need to get out of here. I need to eat.
You might notice that the walls have a bit more texture to them than when we first entered the cave. Like right behind me here, and this is that really delicate formation I was telling you all about why we want to make sure we don't touch the cave walls. This is a mineral called gypsum. It's formed on limestone through capillary action. So water is still coming out of the limestone, some moisture, like humidity and whatnot. It's making its way through the limestone, and as it's evaporating off of the surface, it's leaving behind some solutes of some salt minerals. So gypsum forms through that process. You can kind of think of it if you've ever been outside on a really hot day, maybe in a more drier environment, you're sweating a lot, and all that sweat evaporates really quickly and you've got salt crystals left on your arm. You're basically created gypsum on yourself. You sell it for so much money. And gypsum, it has many different forms. So behind me here we have a lot of gypsum flowers. It comes out in like a burst. So I can highlight some. Got like this one right here, gypsum flower there, up over here, pretty much all over the place. Now the really unique thing about gypsum that you all wouldn't know if you haven't been on other cave tours is that in Mammoth Cave, you really don't see it like this. Gypsum is naturally white like snow. If you were to take the historic tour, all you would see would be a black crust, stained from soot and smoke from thousands of years of torches and lanterns entering the cave. But in Cleveland Avenue, since people really didn't come back here until the earlier 1900s, it hasn't had that much time to soak in as much smoke as the historic area of the cave. So it's really unique to experience gypsum as white as it is here. Now some of it is a little bit more grayer from having torches and lanterns down here, but nothing compared to elsewhere in the cave. And gypsum can have many different forms too. So we've got the flowers here, and then over here where it's a bit more bumpy, popcorn. There are areas of the cave that we don't tour, even getting rangers down there for educational reasons. We have to give blood and offer up our first child to get to some of these areas where it's pristine gypsum. Barely anybody has seen it. And in those areas of the cave, that gypsum, it can form so thin it looks like a wad of hair. Sometimes it looks a little bit thicker. Those are gypsum needles. Sometimes it can just be one complete sheet of gypsum. But however it forms, that's how it's going to stay. Now gypsum, it takes about 300 years for it to form the thickness of your fingernail. Wow. So this gypsum has been around here for a very long time. That's a really thick fingernail. We probably would see a lot more of it too if it weren't for us. Because when tours were coming down here before this became a national park, people were allowed to take souvenirs with them. What would you want to take a souvenir of to show everybody? Gypsum. So there could have been some really incredible looking gypsum flowers down here that we'll probably never be able to see, but we are able to see what's left over, and if you come in another 300 years, you might see a little bit more of it too. Over here where that water's continuously dripping, that's a man-made hole there, so that's not natural. But it's dripping down onto the floor. You'll see here, there's a nice little pool that's formed that hasn't been there for very long. So maybe eventually it'll keep dripping down. Maybe eventually we'll have a pit there. Come back in a few thousand years, you might see it. But you might also notice that we've got a whole lot of gypsum around here, but not so much right around where the water's coming down. Gypsum does not like moist areas, even though it's formed by evaporation. Once it gets wet, it's a water-soluble mineral, so it will disappear. So right around this area, you're not going to see any more gypsum. And who knows how quickly that went away, too. This is where I like to transition more into not just our geological history, but our human history here on Cleveland Avenue. So we do know that gypsum is actually being taken out of the cave in the historic section of the cave by prehistoric people about 5,000 years ago. But because of this problem here, the water solubility of the gypsum, we have no idea what they were using it for on the surface. So very interesting uses could have been made for the gypsum, but we'll never know. Just the mystery of the cave. Yeah.
You said that hole was man-made?
Yeah, drill hole, I believe. Yeah. Mariah, do you remember why they did that? Just messing around?
I think they were going to put electricity in.
Oh yeah, the hole with water coming down, they were going to use for electricity. Very genius.
It could have worked. Just gotta tweak it a little bit.
Was an enslaved guide at Mammoth Cave. We did have enslaved guides here for a long time in our history. But eventually, those enslaved guides, they were either given their freedom or they bought their freedom eventually. But some of them did stay at Mammoth Cave because that's what they knew. They were some of the most experienced guides Mammoth Cave has ever had, especially Stephen Bishop, who's known to be the greatest cave guide in the world of all time. There's one of our very own cave guides, Ranger Jerry. If you're ever able to have a tour with him, you'll be able to learn more about his family history and how that's related to Mammoth Cave. But he would say, as part of his family history, that his great-grandfather, once he gained his freedom, he left Mammoth Cave, went down to Nashville, where he was originally from, and then came right back to Mammoth Cave because he said people down there don't treat him like a free man. They don't treat him like how he was being treated at Mammoth Cave. So he came back here. And Stephen Bishop, he also eventually left Mammoth Cave, but he came right back here to keep guiding tours until his untimely death. But his son, Ed Bishop, he continued cave tours. And he came with a man named Max Kemper. He was from Europe. He came to Mammoth Cave and explored more of the cave with Ed, discovering more cave. He even drew a very accurate map that we still use today. And they would have been the two that came down Cleveland Avenue first. And they would have been coming down using a lantern such as this. So this is an oil lantern. Back then they would have been using, let's not make it bigger. They would have been using animal fat to light it too. And Ranger Mariah, if you don't mind turning the lights out so you can see. Coming down Cleveland Avenue, this tubular passageway that we've been walking down all day today. Seeing the cave like this, imagine how the gypsum would have glittered. Like snow, freshly laid snow coming down here.
Yeah, we cut that back on though?
Yeah, we'll keep on moving too. I'm actually standing in a place called the Humming Spot, and you might have heard the reverberation while I've been talking. That's because we actually have a hollow area right underneath of where we are. That hollow passageway is called Cleveland's Cabinet. Cleveland Avenue, Cleveland's Cabinet. It's all named after a man that never came to Mammoth Cave. But he had been pretty special. Dr. Parker Cleveland, he's a mineralologist up in a college in Maine, in Brunswick, Maine. And he had a cabinet full of minerals, one of which was a gypsum flower from Mammoth Cave. And it's still there. If you visit to this day, you can see that gypsum flower. And I guess because he's a great mineralogist, they're like, let's name it Cleveland Avenue. Even though he never came. I'd rather name it all after you guys since you showed up. You didn't. But before we continue on, we do.
That's our light, guys, right there. Got it up.
And walk around with an open flame. So I'm gonna have. Can you blow this out for me really quick? Just like Kansas.
Wish something first. Oh. There's an opportunity in a lifetime. $1,000 Cleveland.
Ed Bishop, his lantern went out.
Actually, the red would have been better.
That's what I meant. Everybody's lights were off. You can see what complete darkness looked like.
Question.
If you want to turn all your lights off.
Stick the green on.
Yeah, what's your question?
There you go.
Many people that have been down here, has anybody ever came down here, got lost and probably died or whatever?
No, yeah.
Maybe.
So you tell me,
Not in this cave.
So basically, there might be some demonic spirits or something in here, right?
That's possible. Well, I guess we should turn the lights back on then.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Okay, like I said, this is our turnaround point. We'll have time for a couple more stops, but this is a good time too. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning of our tour, if you want to walk at a slower pace,
Go
join me
further
up at the
dog.
front.
Hey. Go back to the left. Hey, Jay. Let's go, buddy.
Onward back to civilization. And then we can eat food.
I will.
Now everybody's slowing down.
Oh my God, look at this. Oh God. I think we could be close.
If it is, I'll be like, hey, man, upstairs. I'll be up there in a minute.
Oh my God. All right, time out. Time out.
down.
Ranger lady.
She used to it, I know.
I know. She got legs of steel up there.
My knees is bad. I can't keep going.
Keep going, Daddy.
I can't.
Yes, you can.
I know the kids are kind of showing us up, guys.
He's even encouraging him too.
Keep going. Keep going.
Slow down.
We're almost there.
Are we?
I can see the door.
Is there a door?
30 steps.
Or is that your imagination?
See the light.
1,500 steps to go.
Is there free ice cream after this?
Right.
Complimentary bottle of water.
Right?
That.
How about a Dana boy?
Oh, look at me.
Got some milk.
Oh, God.
Got them.
Oh, God, freedom. How y'all doing down there?
So they don't want us to get in. They don't lock us.
No, trust me, they want you all out of here. It's called lawsuits, we can't have that.
They got your money.
The way out.
They don't want you.
Well, they kind of still do, because you got to pay the taxes to keep this thing going. They kind of need you still. Oh, freedom.
That's funny though, because right after the lawsuit, they're going to take taxes right out of that too.
I know.
It's hot.
How you gonna go from that, and then you come to this hotness? Oh. Where's the bus? They ain't even here.
Right.
Oh, hey, just he cooked the bus, make it appear.
I'm sweating. Okay, I'm about to say, because I know you got to be dead by the end of the day.
I sleep really well at night. And we were offer guided tours again at the beginning of the month. We've been doing self-guided extended historic tour, which is at the historic entrance. And you only get 2 miles worth out and back. That's 2 miles. So about a year we were doing that because of COVID, and all I do is yes, that is the rock. Yeah, so just make sure you're flashing.
Hey, girl, the trooper right there on crutches just did those steps.
A lot more exercise. My parents will hopefully do a little bit more exercise.
Thank you guys for watching the video. Please keep subscribing to Coast Guys Adventure. Don't go anywhere. More footage of Mammoth Cave is coming soon in the future. Also, more adventures is coming to the channel as well, like the Great Smoky Mountains. We have the Everglades National Park and Yellowstone National Park. So more is coming to the channel for you guys to watch. And so until then, I will see you later.